I'm back. Today we're making a dish that's good for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, and the main protein source of it is going to be eggs, but not only is it easy to make, but you can keep it in the fridge and keep serving it throughout the day. There are times where I am so flippin' busy that I eat the same thing for every meal, and I will admit that because I'm very good at admitting my faults and my ruts. And food ruts are a thing. It is no fun, and I don't want you guys to get into that. So that's why I'm here. Let me get these little bell sleeves going up. And to show you my crispy mushroom bowl. Not breakfast bowl, not lunch bowl, but just bowl in general because it works all the time. I have shiitake mushrooms. I actually have 2 containers because mushrooms, I don't know if you noticed this, but when they cook up, they cook smaller, and I think this is going to be kind of the base of the dish is what I call it, because it is a meatier vegetable. So I'm just going to take the tails off these guys and talk to you a little bit about why I make some simple bowls like this, because I just don't have the time to make a full protein dish sometimes. You know, have you ever noticed, oh, meal prep, I'm slacking, I have a busy week, I didn't make my proteins in my slow cooker, which ironically I'm doing right now. Behind you, I've got a pork in my Instapot. But sometimes you just don't have that and you're not as organized as you wish you were. And I'm definitely not perfect, and it happens to me on more occasions than I'd like to talk about. But if you don't have that protein, I always have eggs in the house, and I always have vegetables. So I kind of came along with one of these little bowls because I love mushrooms so much, and I especially like them when they're crispy, and I like to try different kinds. You could do these with shiitakes. I mean, you can really do it with anything, but it's all about just having some vegetables in the house, having an egg, and then creating a sauce from some of the things you have. You're gonna love the sauce I have today. So I'm not even joking. It's so simple. It's 3 ingredients plus an extra bonus ingredient if you like it. But yeah, I mean, so it's basically about keeping a stocked kitchen. And I think that one of the first things I do deal with most of my clients, never had a client who didn't want this part of my service, but I will go to their house, look at their cupboards, and then take them to the grocery store. We'll throw out things that are inappropriate, and then we'll create a list of staples that they always need to have in their house. And it's become one of their saving graces. I hear back from my clients a lot, which I love, and I'd love to hear from you guys too in the comments about some of your staples that you have in your house that you swear by, or something that you couldn't imagine living without in your refrigerator or your pantry. But I get the feedback from my clients like, I'm so glad you taught me this. Let me get my strainer. Because now I'm never without a quick option. So instead of having to order in, you can make something out of what's in your house and what you try to keep around. So we are going to go ahead and start with these. So I've got my shiitake mushrooms stemmed, but now I need to rinse them. And then I carry it back over to the stove with a paper towel underneath it so it doesn't drip, and I pour them into my skillet. Now, one of the things, there goes the colander. One of the things that I like to say about bowls like this is your base vegetables can be really anything. I want this to be the mushrooms because they have a flavor, but I also have some cabbage. I really wanted bok choy, but the store was out of it, so you can do some bok choy. All I do with bok choy is I cut the ends off, I cut it in half, and then I put it in a skillet and I heat it a little bit. With cabbage, I'll keep it raw. I don't know what it is about cabbage versus bok choy. They're basically the same family, but I don't like heated up cabbage. It's so strange. I don't know. Okay, well, you can make fun of me later. And then we will take the cabbage and put it in our base of our bowl. And then I've got these child-proof, no joke, these little things always, I feel like my 3-year-old, like I can't get in my sprouts. But I've got some mung bean sprouts. I think these raw are so filling, and it's such a good, it's interesting how you find so many takeout meals that I get have bean sprouts in them. And I love them because they have such a neutral flavor other than a lot of other sprouts, but they're so healthy for you. So I'll put a little handful of those at the base of our bowl. We are going to turn on the skillet to heat up our mushrooms. Those shiitakes are in there, and I'm going to just do a tiny spray, and you'll watch me do this because this is something that is push, 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 push on my mister, and then I just mist a tiny oil. And that's all you need. And this is avocado oil. You can put anything in your Mr. Misters. I got mine, I want to say, almost 10 years ago at Bed Bath & Beyond. And it's one of my kitchen staple utensils that I love to use because it cuts down on a lot of the fat. when you pour the oil, you notice you sometimes pour too much, you're not paying attention. You don't really need a lot of oil with mushrooms because they also have water in them. So I'm going to stir these around a little bit, let these kind of go. We want them to become slightly crispy, so it's more of like a crispy mushroom dish. So I am going to then break some eggs. So I have some spray oil. This is coconut oil, but it could be anything, that I put in my perfect egg skillet. Yes, I do not like when eggs don't look pretty. So weird, I know, I have such strange OCDs. But this is my favorite pan, and I only use it for eggs, obviously. But we're gonna crack some. Got these in here. One. And one of these dishes, it's enough to have 2 eggs in it. You don't have to have more than 2 as a serving size for one bowl. So, but see that one? I broke the yolk, and I'm not gonna like how that looks. So here we go. We're gonna do a third, even though the portion says just 2. Okay, so my eggs are being turned on. My mushrooms are going. There we go. And we are gonna cut some cabbage. So this is legit one of the biggest pieces of cabbage I have ever seen in my life. So I'm gonna put this bowl over here to give me some space to work with it. But look at this, this is so huge. So I cut the bottom off, and I like to start at the top of it. So at the front, especially with Napa cabbage, because I really just want the yummy, soft, shredded kind. So I'm taking a big knife and I'm just shredding it a little bit. I don't need all of this. So, but what I'll do is I'll keep shredding later on, and I'll put it in a container. I like to use baggies or a glass container so that it keeps longer. And then I just take the knife and I go through it a little bit more to kind of break it down. But I'll save it for salads. I'll make like a cabbage coleslaw or, you know, anything that I'm kind of in the mood for. Cabbage is so good for stuff. I do a lot, if you've ever seen some of my other recipes, but like nori burritos where I'll use nori seaweed and I'll roll it up with vegetables and maybe some shredded chicken or shrimp and then do a dipping sauce. It makes things so easy, but cabbage is so filling and so good for you that it is one of my go-tos. Not to mention, it's usually $1.99 for a huge head of cabbage that can be used in so many different recipes, including really good soups too this time of year. Gotta move my mushrooms around. You gotta make sure that you do, mushrooms are kind of delicate. You don't want them to stick to the bottom of the pan. So I'm moving them around. I've got them on a lower temp so that they get crispy. There we go. Okay, and while I do this and let the eggs cook, we are going to talk about my sauce, because this is my jam. Not even joking. This, you just take a little bowl. I don't really measure this out because for me it's all about flavor and consistency that you want to turn out for this. So I'll do, this is Bragg's Liquid Aminos, or you can do a gluten-free soy sauce. So I'm gonna go ahead and it's gonna be roughly 2 tablespoons of this. Got that. And then I have an avocado oil based mayonnaise, and I'll do 1 tablespoon of that to make it creamy. And then I've got, and this is just, you don't have to have these, these are optional, but black sesame seeds, a little bit, maybe a teaspoon or 2. That's totally up to you. But my last ingredient that you have to have of the main 3 is hot chili oil. I need to get a spoon because I don't want to get this all over my hands and then touch my eyes and be devastated. So chili oil has pepper flakes at the bottom, so you need to stir it up. I'm going to do basically a teaspoon because I have got, well, actually, I'm going to kick it up a notch because that's how I do. I am going to make it spicy and then stir it all together so it makes this amazing, literally, chili oil to me, anything spicy to me is my jam. If you know me at all, I can go to an Indian restaurant or any restaurant and say, I want the spiciest curry you have on the menu, and I will survive. It's just something that I've always been kind of into it, but lately with taste buds, I feel like I need more. So I keep pressuring to go spicier and spicier. But for you, this is all about tasting it and seeing how it goes for you. So, I mean, really good. Okay, it's probably a little bit spicier than you guys want. So, you know, just watch it. And then The last piece that I like to put in, this is something that, it's pickled sushi ginger that I get at the store very readily at most grocery stores, so you should have no problem finding it. But I take my knife and I chop it up. You can do fresh ginger too. I just like the pickled ginger because I'll just throw a little extra on top of the salad too. But I like to put it in the sauce to add a little sweetness to the spice. And I'm big at offsetting flavors, so that's one of my favorite things to do. And I also save the ginger juice, and I'll use those in dressings and things too, like a carrot ginger dressing that I do. So, you know, you can always use all of something. So this is so yummy. This is what it looks like when it's done. So good. We've got the mushrooms going. I've got to put those all nice and crispy, put them on top of the cabbage and the bean sprouts. And now I'm going to go over here, excuse me a sec, and flip the eggs. And this is what our salad looks like before we put the eggs and the dressing on top. So num 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 num. I'm just waiting for these eggs to be done. Chili oil also, just to let you guys know, the raw sesame seeds that I get, the chili oil, the ginger, and the Bragg's liquid aminos are all in the same location at the grocery store. They're in the international section, and they're generally on shelves close to each other, so it's really easy to find. I know sometimes I use ingredients and people are like, I've never seen what she uses before. I just want you to know where to find them. Here comes the eggs. All right, turn off the stove. So I've got 1 egg, I've got 2 eggs, and I'm not using the imperfect one, so it's just gonna go over here for later because it's not pretty enough. And here we go with the sauce. Drizzle it on top of all of this, even the eggs. Here we go. Yum, I'm so excited to eat. Okay, that's the other thing too that I love is when you get excited for a meal, it's legit. When you enjoy something, eating healthy is not a struggle, and I just really hope that everybody has that feeling and that sensation that I do. This is what we've got. And if I break it, you get the yolk that goes all over everything, and it is amazing, and I think beautiful. And for some reason, for me, something about yolk, it just is so, so tasty. And egg is one of the main, most complete proteins. So I hope you guys enjoyed this bowl. I know this has been a longer video because we did start to finish on the cooking, but it really doesn't take that long in theory when you know what you're doing and have these few ingredients. For the whole recipe, go to livingwithashley.com. But just remember, all you need is a base, so a cabbage and some bean sprouts, a brand of mushrooms, a type of mushroom that you want, some eggs, and then the 3 ingredients for the sauce, which is an avocado oil-based mayonnaise, a gluten-free soy sauce, I used Bragg's, some sesame seeds are optional, and pickled ginger is optional, but then the chili oil was the piece de resistance. If you cannot find chili oil, use sriracha sauce. And make the sauce so that you only have 2.5 tablespoons total, but make sure you're using it in the proportions that make you happy as far as spice and creaminess and all sorts of things. So I hope you guys have a great day and enjoy your meals. I can't wait to come back and do something else.